Ghouls, caught in a permanent limbo between dead and alive, human and machine. Ghouls are an entity created by a human's body and mind being twisted by dark psychic influences through the use of a dark architect shard. By infusing this shard within a living person, they will transform into a ghoul. Strong close-range combatants unable to perform any kind of work, for all a ghoul knows is two things: violence and hunger. And it is through hunger that ghouls are kept under control, or rather, a lack of it. While ghouls can only draw substance from raw meat, remaining docile and obedient as long as food is made available for them, hungry ghouls are a dangerous creature. If not properly fed, ghouls will become hostile towards anyone in an attempt to satiate their hunger. Perhaps not as widespread across the universe, as the architechnology required to create a ghoul is rare in the first place, people also seem to shun ghouls, finding their constant twitching and jerking motions to be disturbing, along with their dependence on raw meat. While still somewhat resembling of humans, now perhaps a shell of their former selves, ghouls are biologically very different, which is rather interesting considering how quick the transformation from ghoul to human is. Ghouls do not age. They will remain the age they were at the moment of their creation. They also feel no pain whatsoever, meaning they cannot pass out from a pain-induced shock. Their body does not care for cold or warm environments that much either, and will prove incredibly resilient, with ghouls regenerating rapidly from cuts and bruises and even regrow lost limbs, as they also lack the ability to bleed when wounded. We can assume for this to be the working of the architect shard infused within the ghoul itself, having perhaps a semi-level of consciousness. The infused shard, in an attempt to protect its new host, works tirelessly to maintain the body healthy and strong in an effort of self-preservation. In terms of requirements, we already discussed this previously. Ghouls need nothing apart from food, and the only food they want is raw meat, which can be provided to a ghoul by either butchering something or simply giving it access to the corpse itself. Ghouls are not picky about their meat either. It can be of any origin, which is why a contained flesh mass nucleus can be an incredibly useful asset if you have ghouls under your service, as it will provide a constant flow of twisted meat for your ghouls to enjoy. Once again, don't forget to make sure your ghouls have constant access to food, or they won't think twice about turning on you. Now, probably the most important part about ghouls. It is already set in stone that a ghoul's role is strictly that of a close-range fighter. They will attack with their fists, heads, teeth and claws, but there are many ways of increasing a ghoul's strength and effectiveness in combat. First of all, it's important to take into account the person becoming a ghoul in the first place. When transformed into a ghoul, a xenohuman will retain many of their genes, with some being more important than others for ghouls, such as the robust, strong melee damage, naked speed, fast or very fast runner, strong or great melee, fire resistant, robust digestion, elongated fingers, smooth tail, and super fast wound healing. Many negative genes can also be a boon for ghouls. Keep in mind, ghouls cannot work and cannot have mental breaks, as the concept of feeling happy or feeling sad simply doesn't exist for them. They either feel hungry or they don't. And because of that, improving a ghoul's metabolic efficiency through genes that will normally considered very troublesome becomes child's play. Such genes include awful or poor skill genes, aggressive or hyper-aggressive, unhappy or very unhappy, death rest, as ghouls will not require to death rest, and the same applies to hemogen drain and pyrophobia, as ghouls cannot experience mental breaks. All of the genes I just listed are perfect to create a xenohuman to be subsequently turned into a ghoul. And don't worry, at the end of this video I'm going to go over every single thing you can do to obtain a nearly perfect ghoul for your colony. Another important aspect that ghouls retain upon their transformation is traits. Obviously the vast majority of traits are going to be completely useless for a ghoul, excepting a few of them that increase a person's base stats. The most important ones being tough, jogger, nimble, and trauma savant. I would argue for the most important ones from this list though to be tough and jogger, as they have the most noticeable impact out of the rest, with Tough increasing a ghoul's overall survivability and Jogger increasing or countering the movement speed penalties from body part prosthetics, which we are going to be talking about now. As you probably know already, ghouls can benefit from body parts, such as bionics, while having access to a separate ghoul-specific body part specializations along with their own personal serum, the Ghoul Resurrector Serum, which you already know what that does, it's in the name. In terms of regular prosthetics, two are especially useful. The Nuclear Stomach will reduce the amount of food they require with effectively no downsides at all, as ghouls are immune to getting cancer, while body part weapons, such as elbow blades, hand talons, and venom fangs will increase the overall melee strength of your ghoul. But in that case, I'd recommend using Power Claws, as they are the overall strongest combat prosthetics you can install on someone at the drawback of losing some movement speed. In terms of ghoul-specific upgrades, we have the following. The Adrenal Heart, a prosthetic made out of bioferrite that allows ghouls to saturate their bloodstream with stress hormones and liquid energy, allowing them to move and attack rapidly for short moments of time. The Adrenal Heart will increase a ghoul's metabolism, meaning that they will need to eat more. The Corrosive Heart, a bioferrite prosthetic that will repurpose one of the ghoul's heart chambers to create a strong acid which can be sprayed from the ghoul's mouth. It is perhaps the only way to grant ghouls something resembling a ranged attack, particularly useful to damage enemies from range before engaging them in close combat. The Melblood Heart is another heart replacement for ghouls, which will pump small amounts of Melblood within a ghoul's bloodstream. Melblood is a substance that hardens in response to physical trauma, acting as a sort of inner armor. The problem with Melblood is that, being made out of bioferrite, it's extremely flammable, and while it will increase a ghoul's resistance to various attacks, it will also make them more vulnerable to fire as a drawback. Another drawback of this enhancement is that the Melblood will cause swelling within the ghoul's body, making it slightly harder for the ghoul to move and slowing them down. Ghoul barbs are another type of ghoul prosthetic. Well, prosthetic is a big word. Ghoul barbs are essentially just a bunch of bioferrite spikes that get surgically attached to a ghoul. While being covered in sharp spikes will drastically increase a ghoul's strength in melee combat, it will also inevitably slow it down. Ghoul plates are another quote-unquote prosthetic that can be attached to a ghoul. As the name implies, this prosthetic simply covers a ghoul's vulnerable areas with bioferrite plates in order to reduce incoming damage, once again slowing down the ghoul. So, with everything above considered, it's time to run some tests and compare ghouls. Just as a disclaimer, the following tests are realized on a very broad scale, not taking into account literally every combination possible. In fact, if I were to make a test for every possible combination of melee skill levels, genes, traits, prosthetics, and consumables, there will be over 3,000 possible combinations each with their very own result. And that number is into the low end, and accounting only for melee damage modifiers, not including movement speed and defense. So yeah, I like making videos for this channel, but no way I'm running thousands of ghoul combinations just to show some minimal number changes. And with that being said, let's begin. Meet Kelsey. Kelsey is a volunteer that we sourced from one of our facilities to turn into a ghoul and run tests on. When we offered Kelsey the chance to become a ghoul, he accepted it with great enthusiasm. And now, let's get to comparing. So, as you've seen, the final results are very different in each case. Needless to say, we can reach the simple conclusion that basic ghouls have a lot of room for improvement. So, what will be the perfect ghoul? Well, it depends on your playstyle and needs really, but the perfect ghoul will look something like this, with a few tweaks and adjustments based on your preferences. First of all, level 20 melee skill. Genes for robust, strong melee damage, naked speed, very fast runner, unstoppable, fire resistant, robust digestion, elongated fingers, smooth tail, super fast wound healing, awful skill genes, hyper aggressive, very unhappy, death rest, hemogen drain, and pyrophobia. For prosthetics, either flash mass or detoxifier lungs, 2 flesh whips or power claws, adrenal heart, ghoul barbs, ghoul plating, nuclear stomach, stone skin gland, healing enhancer, bionic eyes, and bionic legs. For consumables, Melblood and Juggernaut serums, and for traits you want, tough, jogger, and nimble, and possibly the Void Touch trait, which can be obtained during the Anomaly ending just for some extra health regeneration. If you manage to obtain a pawn with everything listed above and turn it into a ghoul, you will have a soldier that can be brought back to life upon the death that will look something like this. Now, obviously obtaining something like this is unlikely, to say the least. You will need a lot of resources, a lot of genes, and a lot of luck. But if you like using ghouls, it's definitely a goal, or a ghoul, to work towards of. And with this, I think I should have covered everything important there is to say about ghouls. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, don't forget to like the video, leave a comment with your thoughts, trust me, I do actually read them, and subscribe to the channel. I would also like, as always, to thank this channel's members for their continuous support. It's very much appreciated and highly motivating. If you would also like to become a member, you can do so through the join button below. And now, I wish you a good night, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.